I like to start my message off with something a little bit lighthearted. And I heard about these three pastors. And these three guys, they always like to argue about things with each other. And one day they were arguing about whether or not there are sports in heaven. And they all agreed if there were sports, it probably would make sense that God would only allow one sport in heaven. Well, the first pastor loved baseball, my type of guy. And the pastor said, well, of course it's going to be baseball up in heaven. Think of all the history and the tradition. And there's even that movie that they made out in Iowa, Field of Dreams. God would have baseball up in heaven. The second pastor shook his head and said, no, the sport up in heaven has to be basketball. It's fast-paced. And there's all these different people in basketball. And think of the new covenant. And God would be on the cutting edge of things. Third pastor looked out his window, and this pastor loved golfing. And he said, I just hope, I pray that in heaven there's golfing, and that you can golf every single day up in heaven. The pastor went to bed that night, and then God came to him in a dream. And he said, believe it or not, there is golf up in heaven. But God said, I've got good news and bad news for you. The good news is the golf in heaven is great. Every single fairway is kept in its immaculate conditions. All the greens are beautiful. Every single hole is over 700 yards because your ball just flies through the air up in heaven. The trees are beautiful. There's birds, and it's always 72 degrees when you're golfing up in heaven. The pastor was so excited about and said, well, what's the bad news? The guy said, well, the bad news is we've got you scheduled to tee off at 1:30 next Thursday. Grace and peace to you from God the Father and from our Lord and Savior Jesus, who is the Christ. Amen. I want to do a little bit of pop psychology with you this morning. But before we do that, I want to ask you, what do you think is the worst type of sin? If you would just get down to one sin, what would you consider to be the worst sin of all? I think we could debate this, but I think there is one type of sin that really leads to every single other sin out there. I think it's doubt. Doubt. I think it's doubt. I think it's fear. I think it's anxiety. I think it's worrying. Have you ever thought that? That worrying is a type of sin. Now I can hear you pushing back, saying, Pastor, I can't control whether or not I worry. I can't control that aspect of me. And I think there's truth to that. I certainly worry a lot. But I think it's a sin when we worry about things. We'll get into this in a little bit. The pop psychology part of it, up on the screen is a man by the name of Herman Rorschach. Has anybody heard this name before? Rorschach. And Herman Rorschach was a psychologist who lived in the country of Switzerland. And he devised this way of getting into people's heads, where he would put these different images out there. And people would look at these images, and they were instructed to just describe what they are seeing. They're called the Rorschach's test. And you can still take these. These Rorschach tests are typically just these ink blob images that really don't look like anything, but you're just told to describe to the psychologist what you're seeing. So if you're given this test, what does this look like? Does it look like anything to you? Typically people say a bat or a moth, but there's all kinds of different answers to this because it doesn't take on the typical shape, and whatever the person would say it looks like, supposedly the psychologist would gain a little bit of insight into that person. I'll give you one more. This is from the original. What do you see here? This is the original Rorschach's test that this Herman Rorschach put together in 1921. Do you see anything in these images? Monkeys, okay. People dancing is another one that I heard. So it could be monkeys, it could be people dancing, and typically the psychologist would use this, and if they would hear, well, it's two people pushing each other away, they would say, well, this person's a little bit confrontational. It's two people in love. However you would answer this would seemingly tell you more about the person. Okay, I've got a real test for you this morning, and our choir this morning, there's a little piece of paper on your seats this morning. You may have been wondering, what is Pastor Casey doing this morning? How would you describe the image up here on the screen and on your papers? All at once now, tell me, what are you seeing? A dot. A black jelly bean. I like that. A black dot. What else? Say that again? A hockey puck. I really like that. You must love hockey. We're really getting into your psyche this morning. What else?
Small hole.
A small hole. What else?
White sheet paper with a mess on
Gary, have we talked before? Say that again, Gary.
it. I'm taking the test.
He's taken the test before. Gary said a white sheet of paper with mess on it, I think is what you said. But most people, they look at this, and the vast majority of the screen up here is what color?
White.
It's only that little black that people seem to concentrate on. Now, what am I trying to get at? I think it's human nature for us to focus on the things that we are worried about in life, to focus on the anxiety, the worries in our lives, even if they're not real. Think of this last week. There are two things, I think, going on in the mainstream society that have led people to worry, even though, truth be told, we have no control over it, do we? What's the first one? That coronavirus that has sprung up in China, and boy, there are some people that are pulling their hair out, are really worried about, will it come to the United States? What will be the repercussions? Will there be thousands of deaths? And we just start to worry about these things. The second one is the impeachment of Donald Trump. And whatever side you're on, if you're either worried that if he is impeached, the repercussions of that, or the other side, if you allow this man to continue to be the president, that there are bad things with that, and we watch it, and we just worry about it. Our gospel message for this morning talks about these disciples, and as they come to Jesus Christ. I often wonder about what types of worries did they have in their lives? What type of anxiety did they have? They were fishermen. How often did they worry about whether or not they would catch enough fish in order to feed their family? Now, why do I say that worry is a sin? Why do I go that far? Why do I say that worry, that anxiety is the cause of all sin? Think about the very, very first sin described in the Bible. Adam and Eve, and they had everything. I mean, can you imagine that? The Garden of Eden, they were to live forever. It was paradise. It truly was paradise. And yet, this slithering snake that we know to be Satan the serpent starts to whisper in their ears, what if you have it wrong? What if you're missing something? What if God isn't being truthful to you? What if you are missing something? And what do? They start to worry. They start to think, what if I really am missing something? And they take this bite of the apple, and sin comes into their lives, and sin never, ever leaves their life. Followers of Christ, worry is a real thing, isn't it? We all deal with anxiety. We all deal with worry. I don't think it'll ever go away. Some of us struggle with this more than others. There's some of us that lay down in bed at night and we can't turn our heads off. Can you relate to that? There's a few nights that I'll go to bed and I start to worry, and I'm sitting there in bed and I can't turn my brain off, and I stop and I think, why am I worrying about this right now? Worry is a sin because worry is not trusting God. Anxiety is not trusting that God is in control. And God really is in control. Let me say this though. Worry is not a sin in the fact that we are not meant to take care of the things in our lives. We are meant to do things. We are meant to figure out the different things that we need to address, and we're meant to do them. We're meant to be proactive. But at the end of the day, if this worry encompasses our life, we're allowing that sin to creep in our lives. Think of those disciples. They left everything. Did they have worry? Did they have anxiety? Was the rest of their life perfect? By no means. But we read about these fishermen giving the next 3 years of their lives to follow Jesus. Didn't mean it was perfect. They experienced death. They experienced hardship. But they trusted. My homework for you. It's a hard one. It really is a hard one. Because I think worry is the sin that just encompasses our lives in such an overwhelming way. But this week I want you to, when you go to bed, I want you to think about all those things that you're worried about because they're real. I want you to say a prayer. I want you to say, God, I've got a lot going on in my life. There's a lot of things to worry about. There's a lot of things to be anxious about. But I'm leaving them at your feet. I'm going to let you take care of them. Use me as you would, as you will. But this worry, this anxiety, I trust you. I follow you. If you trust God, if you follow Jesus, can I hear an amen?
Amen.